Hello, welcome to my office, which is looking a little bit crazy at the moment because I've been doing a ton of work in here, and some of that work has involved rewiring and fixing lighting in the spaces that I wanted. A little while ago, I uploaded a video to Instagram, which honestly I didn't think would do too well, but it was about how I fix and rewire vintage lamps that appear to be broken. I learned how to do this kind of by myself. I got into playing with electricity when I was building the LED fiber optic dress that I have made on this channel. Back when I was doing costuming, I would watch a lot of cosplay videos and they would show really simple positive, negative, single 3-volt LED diode circuits. So that was the first lighting experiment that I ever did. Gradually, as I started collecting vintage homewares, I began to find that a lot of lamps had breaks, but they were in really good condition in other places. And the original way that I was interested in refurbishing lamps was basically I was making the lampshades that some of you have seen. My lampshade videos tend to do pretty well on here. So that got me acclimatized, if you will, to how to take apart a lamp, how to fix loose nuts, some of the parts of the lamp. And through that, I realized that most lamps are just a pretty base with a cord running up through some nuts and hollow all thread that you can in fact rewire if they're broken, or if parts are missing, or if wires have been cut off, if you're like me and you find them on the side of the road. So I thought that I would show my process a little bit here, and I'm going to take you through some of the ways that I have refurbished lamps. But I want to warn you that you are playing with electricity, so if you're like me and you don't exactly know what you're doing, all you know is positive, negative ground, make sure that you don't cut into your walls and try to use any knowledge that I give you here to actually play with like properly circuited electricity and potentially burn your house down. Stick to lamps, stick to not splicing wires together, stick to very simple positive and negative circuits, and just take into account that everything should be unplugged while you're working on it. You don't want to short your electricity, you don't want to electrocute yourself and kill yourself, because that is a real risk. In fact, what you should do is you should go to Google and you should type in electricians who've electrocuted themselves, share your story Reddit, and that will take you through some shocking horror stories that will scare you straight. You should be mindful of your own personal safety in so many things that I do on this channel, from electricity to using power tools, the eye protection you need when you're angle grinding, to wearing proper footwear. And honestly, sometimes I have a total lack of personal safety, but that's a me problem and not something that you should start doing in your own life. With that said, I'm going to rewire 2 lights that I found on the side of the road. All right, my loves, before we get into the actual lamp that I am rewiring in this video, I'm going to teach you all about the basics. This is a light socket base. See these screws that I'm unscrewing? This is where your wires go in. That blue one is a neutral wire, which I am screwing in super tight and making sure absolutely none of the bare copper is poking outside of the screw. I always use cords that have switches on them because I think that that's safer. What I have here is a vintage brass lamp. This is the base. There's a little hole at the base where the cord should be threaded through. As you see here, all of these tend to screw together in multiple pieces. If you take the lamp as far apart as you can, you'll have an easier time pulling the cord all the way through. Now, this is a different light socket base, but as you can see, there's again the blue wire and the brown wire. I undo the screws here at the base of the socket to pull these old wires out. These ones have been cut. I secure each wire into its respective screw hole and I tighten that up super tight, make sure that no copper is poking out of those screw holes. Then I secure everything back together and turn on the switch. Look, it's working. Now for this next part, I wanted to turn this lamp, which would be normally wired into a live circuit, so a wall circuit, into something that was a closed circuit. So in this case, we are taking the existing circuit that exists within the lamp and we're adding a power cord to it. And by the way, you need to make sure that if your circuit only has positive or neutral and no ground, that the cord you're using where the plug is located has only 2 prongs, but if you do happen to have a ground wire in your circuit, you need a plug that has the ground prong. Now this circuit has 4 cords. It has 2 positive and 2 negative, or 2 positive and 2 neutral. The black in this case is the negative or neutral and the red is the positive. I'm threading on a little bit of heat shrink insulation that is designed for this kind of work. And I do this before I add the power cord because you need this to wrap around the entire cord. and help join them together. You can get things that have metal in them, but I typically just use these plastic ones. Also use soldering techniques. You can use clips. There are a bunch of different ways to do this. This is the way that I've done it for this one, but I may take it apart again and just solder it on for a little extra security. Putting the red one on, I also keep them color coded. So I'm wrapping the copper together and then I'm putting the respective wires back together. Notice again, my lamp is unplugged and there's a switch on the power cord. This isn't the final cord I used because it was actually too short, but again, I'm using switches, I'm doing closed circuit, everything is unplugged. See how my cat's next to me? We don't want to electrocute him either. Once everything is together, I slip that insulation down over the bare copper wire. I slip another piece of insulation up over both of those for extra tightness and extra insulation. And I will later completely wrap those red and black wires in a white electrical tape. To install this sconce lamp in my bookshelf, I took everything out. I'd cut some holes for some power cords. Remember, this is all closed circuit electricity. I'm not going into the walls, but I do want to hide some of these cords from use. So I've been refurbishing this bookshelf to turn it into a built-in, which is a bigger project that will be part of a different video, but I'm about to install the lamp that I just refurbished, and you can see here in this center bookshelf, what I'm going to do is spackle up all these shelf holes because this is going to be kind of a display shelf as opposed to a bookshelf. I've cut out using my little Dremel tool with this because it's just thin MDF at the back. So I've cut out that hole for the socket to pass through, and then we have the bigger socket holes down here with this plug. And all of that will get nailed in and covered up with those paintable lighting thingies, paintable electrical outlet cover things. And I'll also cover this. Because I was turning what had initially been a wall fixture into something that was a closed circuit, I needed to create a little channel for the cord to pass through. This meant that I took my Dremel tool and a cutoff wheel and I just ground a little archway for the cord to pass through the very back of this. I then sealed that with a bit of hot glue to ensure that the cord sat super tight and also that the metal did not cut into the insulation at any point and cause any issues.